Okay, I guess here we go.
Hold on. I'm gonna see if I button this up if it looks like I'm wearing no shirt underneath. Oh no, it doesn't. Fuck.
Welcome back to the sneaker bench. I'm Spiro,
I'm Raj.
and today we're filming our
2024 Sneaker Bench Award Show.
We're back, baby, and we're telling you what we loved from this past year. You kind of know the drill. We're switching a few things up. What are our awards? Oh, it's by us. Our awards consist of the Connor Bedard Rookie of the Year award,
The Collaborator of the Year Award.
the GR Sneaker of the Year,
The Most Dope Balla Freshness Award.
the Lance Stephenson Shoe of Greatness award,
The That's Just Like Your Opinion Man Award.
the Brand of the Year,
The Ultraboost 1.0 Triple White Trend of the Year Award.
the LeBron James Zydrunas Ilgauskas Collab of the Year award,
The Sam Darnold Comeback Player of the Year Award.
and the Ford Innovation Excites Best New Model of the Year, not sponsored by Ford award.
And finally, the Sam Hauser Sneaker of the Year Award. In case you're wondering, Sam Hauser, NBA champion.
So clearly we have a lot to get through, so let's get to our first award, which is the Connor Bedard Rookie of the Year award. I don't know about you, Raj, but what did you think about all the new collaborators that we had this past year in 2024?
You know, there were just so many new faces. It was insane. We had just an extraordinary amount of sneakers to choose from. So many people just started,
And we only have one nominee.
just like last year.
So yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, Raj. So many great new collaborators getting new collaborations, and we want to recognize um, the only person that got a new collaboration that we could think of, and maybe we should get rid of this award because it might not be the best. But the winner is the Bodie Astro Grabber. Wow, wow! Congratulations to Bodie. I know Raj liked these more. We may or may not talk about them a little bit more later. You have anything to
I'm a
say?
big fan of the sneaker. I think it's a cool shoe. Bodie, I'm just a huge fan of Bodie in general. I think their story is really cool. And I think the sneaker is very cool. It's very simple, though. I could understand if someone was a little upset at the lack of craziness or creativity, but I do really like the shoe.
It's cool. Not many new collaborators. Last year we gave this a J Tips. Seemed like a good award at the time, but maybe in the future we'll tweak it. Congratulations, Bodie. Next award is the Collaborator of the Year
Collaborator of the year.
award. Wow. What kind of nominees do we got? Who's nominated? Let's see. Raj, tell them the nominees.
We got Kith and Ronnie Feig. They are always doing a lot of different stuff. Then we have Salehi Brembury, Wales Bonner, and Amamir. So a pretty heavy hitter, a bunch of heavy hitters here this year. And let's see who the winner is.
There's also Travis
So
Scott.
yeah, also Travis Scott's on there. We fucking hate Travis Scott and his
Okay, we don't hate
collaborations.
Travis Scott, but his sneakers kind of, let's switch it up a little bit.
I,
Let's do
I
some.
hate Travis Scott.
Okay. Who was the best collaborator from 2024? Were there good collaborators? There were, but only one can be the best. The best collaborator is Salehi
Salehi
Bembury.
Brembury.
Wow, Raj, what was your favorite stuff from Salehi this past year?
Salehi, the New Balance 1000, I just always come back to those. I know he did a lot of different stuff in the year, but those are just so freaking cool. The
You mean the
iridescent look,
1906Rs?
huh?
The 1906Rs?
What did I say?
The 1000.
I meant the 1906Rs. Those are those are just really cool. And I'm a huge fan of the 1906R. I just like that as a silhouette in general, and I think that was a silhouette that was really hot this year. And Salehi Bembury just does a lot of cool stuff. So
Big
happy that he
fans.
got that award.
Yeah, big fans of the Heat Be Hot pack over here. Salehi was working overtime with New Balance. He also signed the Puma deal, which we just now saw something from that recently. There might have been like a few ads with Tyrese Halliburton last year, but we hadn't seen any physical product until recently. So excited to see where he continues to go with Puma and all the rest of his endeavors because he is a busy, busy, busy guy.
Yeah, like that. I think like when we're talking about collaborators, there's a lot of people like the argument that we just made for the Bodies or against the Bodies that they were too simple. So like he went the complete opposite directions with the 1906Rs. They're so bright, they're so colorful, and I think like taking that approach to a sneaker is just really cool. And I think very few people do it well, and he did it well this year.
And he takes shots on stuff like Raj was just saying, like he takes risks. I think the 991 V2 he did was like all purple, yeah, like a kind of a brightish purple. And sometimes people aren't gonna like that kind of stuff. And whether it hits or not in terms of how much people like it doesn't always matter because we know he's giving it a best shot, his best shot to make like a loud, flashy sneaker when sometimes other collaborators might not do the same. So
Yeah.
let's give it up for Soleil. What's up next? We've got the GR Sneaker of the Year, named after my dog, GR, son. Who are the nominees? The nominees are the Asics 1130, the Vomero 5, the Gel Cayano 14s, the 1906Rs, and the Adidas Gazelles. Personally, out of all of these, I think they're all great shoes. I think I saw probably more on the street of the 1130s, Cayanos, and 1906Rs. Personally, I'm a fan of the Gazelles. I kind of always have liked the Gazelles more than the Sambas. Um, the Vomeros, for whatever reason, kind of just don't, I don't know, they don't hit it the same to me. So, what do you think about these, Raj?
You know, I think my favorites are probably the Asics 1130s and the 1906Rs. I just really like the 1906R. I think it's a really cool silhouette. And Asics just been really hot this year. I've seen a lot of them on the street. With that being said, I think the one I've seen most personally on the street this year is the Gazelle. I think the Gazelle, for whatever reason, in Chicago is just super hot. A lot of people are wearing the Gazelles this year, and I'm a fan. I think the Gazelle is a cool shoe, although I do think it's a very small shift from the Samba, and that's the only thing that kind of annoys me a little bit is like it's kind of in the same league as the Samba, and the Samba was huge last year. It feels like they just like wanted something not named the Samba for this year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of the other shoes, like what I was poorly saying earlier about the Vomero 5, is like it kind of just seems as like that's hopping on the like running shoe trend, like the Y2K running shoe.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look new or anything. And although the Kayano 14s and 1130s are in that same vein as well as the 1906Rs, those kind of came along a little bit earlier and they were getting pushed at the beginning of the trend. So it gives them a little bit more validity, at least in like the sneakerhead people's minds. And
Mm.
I know Raj said he saw a lot of the Gazelles. I saw a lot of the 1130s on the train when I was living in Chicago earlier this year.
Mm.
All good shoes, but only one
Yeah.
can win. The best GR is the Asics Gel 1130. We saw a lot of these, and it's a good looking shoe. It's also affordable.
Mm.
A lot of people are wearing it. It's easy to wear. It's something that's accessible for all people, whether you're into sneakers or you just want a cool pair of shoes to wear. And I think it was important to address ASIC's success over this past year because ASICS has had a pretty big year in terms of the popularity in the general public, not just the sneakerhead community.
No, I agree. And I think like that's in large part due to like New Balance has really been killing it with the collabs this year and like the last few years in general. They've had a lot of really cool collaborators. But Asics, I feel like, has just been doing a really good job on their GRs. Like a lot of their general releases, like the Kayano, like the 1130, are just really taking off in a lot of different communities. Like the Kayano and the 1130 are both huge in the fashion community, like especially as like a summer sneaker, something that we'll just wear with like jeans and stuff like that. Um, and so I just think like the 1130 and I think Asics in general has done a really good job with GRs this year. And I think if we had to give it to a brand, I would give it to Asics. If we had to do a GR brand, but
Yeah, it's a good point because like the GRs are really what's kind of driving the general popularity within the general public. You're right, there wasn't many like ASICS collaborations that were like really, really huge this year, which is
they had
fine.
the hidden New York ones. Those were cool.
Those are all right. Honestly, not a huge fan of those. Like they're just like white and green kind of didn't do too much for me. They're not bad, but they just like didn't scratch the itch, I guess. I'm more of a fan, I think, of the Up There store 1130s, I think it was. Had like the cool kind of like drawstring and they were like
Was that the
purple.
mint green pair?
No. Also, sorry if there's any typos in here. Trying our best out here. But that's all we have for the GR of the year, the A6 1130. Let's give it up for the A6 1130. Congratulations. What a great honor it is to be the GR of the year from the sneaker bench. Next up,
There's up the most dope Balla Freshness Award, sponsored by Ethan Workman. Look at that generous donation Ethan Workman made to our particular show. That 50-cent donation got him a shout out. And now let's look at the nominees for the most dope Ball of Freshness Award brought to you by Ethan Workman.
Let's not forget to say, though, if you want this award to be in your name next year, all you have to do is Venmo one of us any amount of money. As you can see, this generous donation of 50 cents was was enough to obtain this high honor that you could also obtain with within a donation of any amount. The nominees are
One,
the nominees are to satisfy Hoka Infate threes, I think. If not, Speed Infate threes, something like that. The Keen Gramici Jaspers and the 1906R Action Bronson Rosewaters. Apologize for getting the Satisfy Hoka names wrong, possibly, but it's on the screen somewhere. Do you have any thoughts on any of these, Raj?
I have thoughts, and my first thought is that the Keen Gramici Jaspers go so freaking hard. Those are so sick. I almost had the opportunity. Dude, I did. When did you freaking get those?
I got them on sale.
What? Those are sick. All right, well, those are awesome. The 1906 are Rose Waters are pretty cool too. And honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of like the Hoka collab. Just not my thing personally.
Hoka collab though is important though because the Satisfy running and like the Bandit running collaborations
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
happening
yeah.
now are just big because it's making running cooler in general.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Things like that haven't been happening in the past. So the fact that running shoes are getting collabs like this in general with like running clubs and running brands is a big deal. So definitely thought that was important to take note of in 2024 because that was a trend, I guess you could say, happening that I'm pretty sure will continue on into the future. But who won the most dope Ball of Freshness award sponsored by Ethan Workman due to his generous donation? The winner is the Action Bronson 1906 Rosewater. Great, great shoe. Again, a shoe we have a video on the channel right here. One of my favorite shoes from this year. Sponsored, or not sponsored. The award is sponsored by Ethan Workman, but these shoes are inspired by women's collaboration colorways and how Action Bronson thinks sometimes they have the better and cooler colorways. Amazing shoe. Really love it. Again, one of my favorite details is like the little pink panel that kind of you could peeks through because over the main side panel is like see-through and you can see that pink peeking through underneath. I think it's really cool and again, Action Bronson can combine so many different colors together that you wouldn't think would go well together, but for some reason I feel like you could wear this shoe with a lot of different things. Action Bronson won our Sneaker of the Year award last year. 1906R, probably his biggest sneaker of this past year in 2024. He might not have won the Sneaker of the Year award this year, but the Most Dope Ball of Freshness award is quite the honor in its own right.
Oh yeah. It's the only one of our honors that's sponsored. That's how you know it's important.
It's the only one that is sponsored, completely unique. You might be asking yourself, is this is your first time listening to a Sneaker Bench award show? Most Dope Ball of Freshness award is given to a really good shoe. And so this is a high honor. Congratulations, 1906 Rosewater. Action Bronson and 1906 Rosewater. Congratulations. Big honor. Now,
I'd lose my shit if Action Bronson ever watched this.
if you watch this shit, it's on his story. It's screenshot of this.
We gotta tag him
Yeah,
in the comments.
we'll see. Anything's possible. Next award.
The Lance Stephenson Shoe of Greatness Award. This shoe is for a shoe that exemplifies the greatness of Lance Stephenson in his defense of LeBron James when Lance Stephenson played on the Indiana Pacers. He played such good defense on LeBron James, and I think that greatness deserves to be recognized, as this shoe does.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And the nominees are a lot of shoes. The Bodie Astro Grabber. The Bodie Astro Grabber. We got the Minted Saucony Collab, which I was a huge fan of, and I personally own that shoe. The Kobe 9 Elite Highs Christmas, the Joe Cayano 14s, and the the Wales Bonner sneaker. I think all of these are great. The reason I wanted the Kobe on there is just because I'm glad the hot Kobe 9 highs are coming back. I love that sneaker. I love that silhouette as a basketball sneaker. I might be picking those up. I might be picking the masterpiece colorway of those comes out soon in 2025. And so I might be picking those up. Those are really cool. The Minted New York Saucony shoes. I just really like Minted New York. They're one of the brands that kind of started they're one of the first brands that started fashion and started a fashion company or started a clothing company through social media, and I just think that's super cool. And the Bodhi Astro Driver, obviously first time collab. Wales Bonner always doing cool stuff, and I'm a huge fan of that collab as well. I just think the blue looks really good, and I really like the contrast stitching on there. So that's why all those sneakers are on there. And let's see which one won. The
It is.
winner of the Lance Stephenson Shoe of Greatness Award is the Asics Gel Kayano 14, one of the coolest Y2K runners. Yeah, everyone freak out. One of the coolest Y2K runners, in my opinion. Just really took over the fashion world this year. There were so many people wearing these. They were wearing it from everything with jeans to trousers to skirts. I saw a lot of women wearing these with like skirts and stuff, and I thought that was arguably the coolest way to style this sneaker that I've personally seen. Like those big maxi skirts with those sneakers just look sick. Just a really good everyday sneaker that I think you can get a ton of cool GR colorways of as well. This was also nominated in our GR of the year award, so I think that needs to be said as well. Spiro, any thoughts?
I have some thoughts, but it's going to go along with one of our future awards that we're going to talk about shortly. So I'll hold
Okay.
off on my thoughts for now, but let's give it up for the ASICS Gel Kayano 14. Next up is the That's Just Like Your Opinion Man award. This award goes to one of my favorite sneakers that might not be the best sneaker of the year, but it is one of my favorites. That's kind of our honorable mention award. And the That's Just Like Your Opinion Man comes from The Big Lebowski, which is one of my favorite movies. And this award is just like my opinion. So the nominees are the Petachlorophyll Air Max 1. The 991 V2 City Pack as a whole really was really cool, but the Japan one was my favorite one, I think. The green ones were also really cool. The Stash Air Max 95s, the Puma Suede Nicole McLaughlin, Sweep the Factory Floors, and the Lightning Air Jordan 17s. These were some of my favorites of the year. And at the same time, some of them were kind of just like under the radar. The Petachlorophylls really like they don't resell for very much. You can get those, but I love those so much. If you watch our Grails video, I talked about that one like a week or so before they announced the fact that it was coming back. Same with the Stash Air Max 95s. Those are reselling for a little bit more, but still they're not like super like they're not a huge deal or anything. But I think that might change in the future once the Air Maxes kind of come back into style because it's kind of inevitable. Air Maxes go on like a 4 to 5 year-ish cycle, and then when they come back, everybody's gonna think why they didn't buy those. The 991 V2 City Pack, really cool. I love the pink pair. I love how they released them all in different stores across the world, and they were country exclusives. Stuff like that is really cool, and it just doesn't happen very much. I believe the pink one's released at Atmos in Japan, and I think the US pair was red. I think the pink and the green and or a lot of the other colors were so much cooler than the red, but I really love those. The Lightning 17s, really cool. Wish I had those. I think they retail for $300 with the briefcase and everything, so a little bit unattainable, but really cool. And I'd love to have a pair of 17 lows if possible. And last but definitely not least, the Nicole McLaughlin Puma Suedes. Every single pair is completely different, and they were actually made from factory scraps. One of my favorite shoes I've seen from Puma ever. I think this is awesome, not only from the Nicole McLaughlin standpoint. I think she did a great job, and I think she totally killed this this collab. But I think it's really cool that Puma is kind of taking a chance on a like out there collaboration like this, and I would love to see more stuff in this vein, just out of the box thinking in terms of collaborations from them. And I'd love to see a continued partnership with Nicole because I think she is awesome. Those are my five nominees for my That's Just Like Your Opinion Man award. Raj, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, didn't Nicole McLaughlin have like a really big, wasn't her first collab also last year? Wasn't that with Hoka?
She had other collabs before that, but she did have,
Okay. Her
I don't know
biggest
if
one to date, the one that really put her on the map was her one with Hoka last year, right?
I wouldn't say if it was the one that put her on the map. Maybe it was the more mainstream one, but she had collaborations like Reebok and Vans and stuff before that.
Okay. But like I just think like although personally like the Nicole McLaughlin sneaker isn't my favorite aesthetically, like just from a visual standpoint, I think the concept is really cool. And I do appreciate like I didn't know about the story of the sneaker when Spiro showed them to me, and I thought they were really ugly. But then once you hear about the story, you're like, "Oh, like That's actually a really cool story in terms of its environmental impact as well, because you're using factory scraps. All this stuff would have gone in the trash if it wasn't used in the sneaker. I think that's really cool, just from like a sustainability standpoint. I think it would be cool if like more sneaker companies did stuff like this, where they use unused material. I know a lot of clothing brands have started to do it, and it's cool to see that that kind of trend of being more sustainable is kind of moving over into the sneaker world as well.
And the crazy thing is that like there's so many things, not only in just in sneakers, clothing, and just every kind of collecting hobby. People want something that's one of one. People want something that's just for them. And these shoes
Yeah.
are exactly that. You get a shoe that no one else has. So I think that aspect of it is really, really cool. But only
Oh,
one win
absolutely.
my award. And what is it? Who is the winner? That Just Like Your Opinion, Man award winner is the
Is
Patachloral, the Patachlorophyll Air Max 1, which is my personal favorite sneaker of this past year. I love them so much. I love the shoe. Simple. I love the color. The material being denim and the suede is really, or suede nubuck is really soft on the side panels. Um, it's not a crazy sneaker, but them bringing this back was a big deal for me because when I first got into sneakers, all the old Pada and Para Air Max collaborations were some of the things that I just really, really wanted and I thought I would never have. But this day came, I got these. Sadly, I probably paid $100 more than I needed to because I thought they were going to go up in value. I was wrong, but I love the sneaker. Um, and congratulations to Peta Chlorophyll Air Max 1.
very deserving sneaker. Great sneaker.
Love it. But the big award coming up next, we're getting into some of our big awards. The brand of the year. The brands are New Balance, Asics, Adidas, and Nike. Oh no. Oh, oh no.
Where are they going?
Where are they going? So, Raj, I don't know if you have any specific thoughts on the brand of the year. I know we talked a lot about the ASICs that have come out that were big GRs, but how much did we weigh the GRs against the collabs and just the overall combination of those? We'll
You
see. What
know,
do you think about that?
do we want to talk about them now, or do we want to announce it and then talk about it?
Let's announce it. The
Okay.
brand of the year is New Balance.
So, okay. Neither of us feel super excited about this pick, but we think that it is the objective correct choice on brand of the year. Or at least, or no, maybe not objective, but we think it's the correct choice on brand of the year. See, New Balance had a really big year last year, and they did so many cool things and they did so many new things. And it was that newness that really pushed them ahead. And that's why we felt so good about using New Balance as the brand of the year last year as well. This year, they continued to do a lot of cool things, like we've already talked about. They've done a lot of really cool collaborations with a lot of cool collaborators. They've had new stuff come out, but it feels like they're coasting on the success of last year a little bit, at least to me. It feels like they're kind of just continuing what they did last year without widening the gap between them and Asics or getting closer to like a Nike or an Adidas style or like a Nike or an Adidas level. It feels like that they're kind of coasting on what happened last year and they're not growing their playbook very much in terms of what they're doing. With that being said, that a ton of really cool sneakers come out. Another GR hit, which was the 1906R. Another like huge collaborative year with a bunch of new people. So it's hard to not pick them. Spiro, did any other thoughts I might have missed?
I say we love New Balance, so don't get us wrong. Like we're not saying we don't love New Balance. That New Balance is my favorite brand. I think the key point of what Raj was saying is like they didn't widen the gap as much as maybe we thought they could have. After their big year in 2023, which we did give them brand of the year in 2023, so that's back-to-back wins, and also a most dope Balla Freshness award win in 2024, which is a big deal. We just thought they could do more, possibly. Which they had a good year. But now with the Asics being big GRs, we've already Raj's favorite sneaker of the year was the Kayano or Gel Kayano 14s, and then we gave the GR award to the 1130s. Of course, the New Balance did have the 1906Rs and a slew of other shoes that were big. But we thought that it wasn't as emphatic of a win or a huge of a win that we thought they had in 2023 as they are having now in 2024. Still great year for New Balance. We just thought that it was a little bit closer of a race, harder to tell in 2024. Because even Nike had a big year. We thought Nike, like, they had a lot of important shoes, and Adidas too. It was a hard choice for us, whereas last year it was kind of pretty, we found it pretty easy to choose New Balance as brand of the year in 2023. Congratulations, New Balance. Great year. Very proud. And congratulations on this wonderful award. Next up is
Ultraboost 1.0 Triple White Trend of the Year.
and the nominees are,
The flat sneaker, the Y2K runner, primary color sneakers, and metallic sneakers. Oh, and sneaker loafers.
there was the big Y2K running was still there in
Yep.
sneaker space. There was a lot of flat sneakers going around, like the Puma Speed Cats. Those were everywhere. And then
I like the Speed Cat. I like the Speed Cat.
talk a little bit about the primary color sneakers, metallic sneakers.
Yeah, so when we're looking like the metallic sneakers just had a big year. I think a lot of different sneaker collaborators, like as soon as the 1000 came out, that was kind of a metallic-y looking sneaker with the iridescent look. They also had like a silver colorway of those that were really, really cool. Separate to that, I think that's a continuation of last year with the silver Wales Bonner Sambas that came out. Those were absolutely huge. That was 2023, if I'm remembering correctly. And those went absolutely ballistic, and especially in the fashion world. And so I think kind of seeing on the success of those, a bunch of different sneaker companies put out their metallic sneakers. And also, I think it's important to mention that a lot of the Y2K sneakers, a lot of the Y2K runners are also metallic. Like a lot of them come in this like basic silver color. In terms of primary color sneakers, I think that has a lot to do with like the fashion side of things where people want something that's going to stand out and something that they can pair with things like accessories and things of that nature. And so like the very bright like bright yellow Onitsuka Tigers. Those were really big at the start of this year, a lot really big end of last year. Then we had the Speed Cats, which only come in primary colors, which are really big near the end of this year, and they also fall into that flat sneaker trend as well. But like they come out in basically only primary colors. It's like red, bright yellow, bright green, and they also have a black. But other than that, I don't know. I think the primary color sneakers, although they are big, I think the metallic sneakers had a little bit more of an impact. The sneaker loafer, I do not like those at all, but a lot of people like those, so we figured it was fair to put them on there. I do think those I like sneakers and I like loafers and I like them separate. All right, I don't want them together. Once they're together, I think it looks weird and I think it's hard to style. Not my thing. But
We
when they're
can keep it
separate, they're
together.
great.
No, I'll
When
keep it
they're
together.
uh,
It's a fun thing. Like it's like it goes back to what we were saying about Salehi Bembury. Like it's trying new things, and like New Balance was trying something new, putting that together, whether you like it or not. I think you have to appreciate the fact that they tried something completely different.
I appreciate the fact that they tried something different. I'm just saying I don't like it. That's a
Well, that's fine, but that's
I
why it's nominated. It has to be nominated. I don't know if my I have an odd shaped foot, not necessarily the best for a loafer shaped shoe, but I think they would be very cool to wear, and I think it's cool that New Balance did that. I have more to say about our winner, which is Metallic Sneakers. Wow.
Woo!
Congratulations to Metallic Sneakers. I think, as Raj just said, the Metallic Sneakers is kind of bleeding from the Y2K runners being a big thing into more of like they're kind of branching off into different veins. Whereas you see in like the Hardened volume or the which volume
Yeah.
like those are more futuristic looking. And then in like the Wales Bonner shoes, those are more, fashiony, kind of just like flat shoe looking, which of course usually doesn't have a metallic finish on it.
Yeah.
So with that coupled with the 1906Rs and New Balance 1000s, I think it's really cool and interesting because going into 2025 and beyond, I think the metallic sneaker trend might continue to branch out into different things, whether that's futuristic or more understated fashion wise, kind of thing. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It totally, I no, that absolutely makes sense because, like, I think it's gonna, like you said, continue branching out. I think it's gonna go even further, right? Like, I think what they're doing with the basketball sneakers right now with the Volume 9 is they're experimenting whether the metallic shoe on a basketball sneaker people like it, and that's what they're doing with the Volume 9. But I wouldn't surprise me at all if like the AE1 got a metallic version this upcoming year because it's like that feels like a sneaker that's ripe that would look great with like a metallic hit, something like a bright silver or gold or something of that nature. And like I think metallic in general is going to be really big in 2025. It's definitely a trend that like I'm looking at from a fashion perspective. That's going to be huge in 2025. I think metallic stuff in general is going to be big, and I think sneakers are just part of that huge trend. And I think it's really cool. I think it's going to lend itself to a lot more interesting silhouettes as well because when something looks good from a futuristic standpoint, it gives you a lot more freedom to kind of take risks with the silhouette or with the shape or with whatever it is when it comes to sneakers.
I think, like you said, with the AE1, I think the AE2 is definitely going to be like if the hardened Volume 9s work out, the AE2 will probably be metallic. Wait, what if it's primary metallic?
Has that come out yet? Are there leaked pictures of the AE2?
There's leaked pictures, but they got leaked so long ago, people from Adidas were like, no, 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 that's not it. Which that's what everybody always
Oh,
says,
okay.
but you never know. It kind of seemed like maybe it wasn't it. But
Okay.
metallic sneakers,
Back in 2025.
they just bounced right in. Congratulations, metallic sneakers. Next up, we have a huge award, which Raj was excited to name the.
LeBron James and Zydrunas Ilgauskas Collab of the Year award.
There they go.
Don't forget about Big Z, baby.
Don't forget, LeBron's best teammate.
No, but his best teammate on the Cavs, also no, but second
LeBron's
best teammate on the Cavs for sure. Third best teammate on the Cavs for sure.
where's Tristan Thompson ranking the LeBron Cavs teammates?
Probably after Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Okay.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas was with him for like 5 straight years, and he was his number two the entire first run.
You forgot about Kevin Love though for a second there.
I did forget about Kevin Love for a second. I did.
Never forget about Kevin Love. The nominees for this award are the Salehi Binberry 1906R Heapy Hots, the Bodie Astro Grabbers, the Joe Freshgood 1000 Pink Minks, the Kids of Immigrants, Nike Sunder, the 1906R Rosewater, and the, how do you say it, Mew Mew?
Yep, the Mew Mew 530s. I really like the Mew Mew 530s. I think those are so freaking cool, and I just wish those were more accessible. I think that was really the problem with the Mew Mew 530s is they could have made waves. Like a shoe like that could have legitimately made waves from like a trend perspective. I thought it was one of the cooler collabs, but it wasn't accessible at all. These things retailed for like $500, which made them impossible to get. The other one I want to talk about is the Air Max or not, they're the Air Sunder. I think those are cool, and I've seen those styled in a lot of cool ways, especially with a just like again from a fashion perspective. But also that's another look at like a sneaker that could look really good in a metallic shape. Like I think the Sunder is just a cool silhouette in general. Yeah, I like both of those sneakers a lot.
Yeah, the Mew Mews are cool, and that goes along with what we were saying with like the flat shoe trend that's big
Yeah,
right now. I guess you know more about Mew Mew than I do, but it seems like that's kind of just their thing to be like super high priced and
yeah.
like a
They're I
top
mean they're
tier
one of
type
the
of
hottest
product.
brands right now. They're like
So
top two.
can't blame them for being super expensive, but definitely if that
Yeah.
was more accessible, possibly could have been a much bigger deal. In terms of the Sunder Maxes, it's super cool that they were able to like completely change the model itself. I don't know what you want to call it, the outside like caging kind of thing or the
The
overlay, the
Fuse.
overlay kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, that's obviously not on the regular Sunder, so I think it's always cool when a big brand like Nike allows for a collaborator to change a shoe that drastically. And of course, the shoe just looks cool in general. The Salehi Heapy Hots, we talked about those already. Salehi,
Yeah.
huge year, and I think those kind of got swept under the rug. It's like a good movie releasing in like February, and you kind of just forget about it happening.
Yeah.
Those released, I think, in January of
Those
2024.
are those are freaking beautiful, dude. Those are some of those things. Just the colorway is fantastic. It really reminds me of those old Air Maxes, the Air Max Pluses.
And the marketing campaign behind it where like so he was
Yeah,
doing a hot lava volcano like experiment thing was really fun. Always love the cool marketing stuff that brands do, especially the videos with the collaborators. And not only do we have the Salehis, we've got the Action Bronsons, 1906R Rosewaters, and then we have the Joe Freshgoods. So I know we talked about New Balance winning the brand of the year. We were a little like we're not sure about it, but they clearly had some huge, huge shoes this year. Joe Freshgoods had a big year in his own right. And did we nominated him for collaborator of the year, did we? Or did we forget about him?
I think we might have forgotten about them.
Okay, well, that was a mistake. We just realized he should have been nominated for collaborator of the year. This was a huge shoe. Personally, I think Raj and I may be on the same page in liking this. colorway over the black one, like the Skepta colorway looking one.
I personally like the Skeptic colorway one better, but I think this one's more wearable.
And you have the Skeptas already, so the
I
Skepta
have the Skeptas already,
97.
yeah.
I think they're both good. This pair specifically, though, I really, really like this. In an interesting colorway, the like pink and the tan, but not like a pinky pink. It's like a super, super muted um
Yeah.
pink tone. It's kind of a unique color you don't see very much. Really cool shoe. And of course, the New Balance 1000 had a huge year. This is the first award of our big four awards, which is Collab of the Year, Retro of the Year, Newcomer Shoe of the Year, and then Sneaker of the Year. So really, this is one of our most important awards to give out. The Bodie Astro Grabber we talked a little bit about already. Cool that Bodie got a sneaker. Of course, not they're new to um, sneaker collaborations, and we're excited to see what they do in the future. But
Yeah.
who will be the winner? Nike or the LeBron James
And
big
Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
collab of the year award winner is the Salehi Bembury 1906 R Heapy Hot Lava colorway. What more is there to be said? We kind of already talked about it.
Just nothing. These things are fucking awesome. Those are I didn't weren't both of us waiting to try to get those and we both missed.
Yeah, we both missed, so neither of us have them, but they're awesome.
They are awesome.
And I think just the one last thing we could say about these is a lot of what we really like coming out of not only New Balance, but brands in general are these crazy collaborations that have like wild colorways. Like this on
Yeah.
paper, you just showed the colors that are all on this, and you were like, oh, and we're going to dirty up the midsole too. It's going to come pre-distressed. This would be like maybe a hard sell to somebody. But when it gets all put together and it looks like the final project or product, it looks really nice. The For whatever reason, I feel like I could wear these with a lot of stuff. I feel like I could throw these on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, and I wouldn't think twice about it.
No, yeah, I think I think that's why I like these so much is because like I've always appreciated like just wearability. I think like versatility is one of the bigger selling points of any sneaker to me, and I think these things are very wearable. Like I think that's why I like them. They're really out there and they're really crazy, but they're at the same time you can wear them with like a lot of different stuff, whether it's jeans. I think this similar to the Sunders, similar to a few of the sneakers mentioned, like would look really cool on like girls specifically with like a skirt or something like that. I don't know. I just think that when a sneaker takes a risk and it works out and it looks like this and it works out in a way that just is familiar yet interesting, I just really like that. And as someone who's also like designing his own clothes right now, this probably took like so many rounds of sampling. I can't even imagine how I can't imagine how much work was put into this sneaker because like how intentional the fade is at the like timing of the gradient, like where that happens on the sneaker. It's like that's hard to like get right and it seems like they did a good job. It's really cool.
Congratulations! Not only did Salehi get the collab of the year, he's also collaborator of the year. So huge
Yeah.
year for Salehi. Let's give it up. Our next award, the third of the big four awards, is the Sam Darnold Comeback Player of the Year, Best Retro. It was a big year for retros, which some of them were these. Some of our favorite retros were these. Raj, take it away.
Puma Speed Cats. Freaking fire. I love this shoe. This sneaker just kind of like came up into the stratosphere recently, and I just really dig it. Then we got the New Balance 1000s, which I really like. We have the Zoom Spiridons, which Spiro, oh, you're good. You should talk more about that because that's more connected to you. We have the Air Jordan 4 freaking military blues, and then we have the Air, what's the Air Trainer? I'm forgetting
Air
the
Tech
name.
Challenge 2, Hot
Air
Lava.
Tech Challenge 2s. I think all of these are really cool retros, obviously. And I like that they're not all just Jordan retros. I do appreciate that because I think like Jordan retros are great and they're really cool, but I think there are other brands that are retroing stuff further back from their archive and they're pulling it out and it's really really cool stuff like the Spiridon, like the New Balance 1000, like the Speed Cat. I think that it's really cool when you pull something that's like not as mainstream or not as remembered or not as historical back from the archives just because the design works with our current culture and the current like sneaker culture and it would work within the kind of like style zeitgeist that's happening right now. And so I think those are the three sneakers that they kind of pulled that had not been retroed before, or at least not retroed for a really long time. And I really appreciate the retros that have been coming out this year.
Yeah, it was a big year for retros, as most years are. But this year specifically had a lot of cool stuff, like Raj was saying, that was kind of a little bit out of left field, a little bit random, which a lot of times is more interesting because it's new. Of course, it is a retro, so it's not a new model itself. But the like, for example, the New Balance 1000, we hadn't seen that before, so it felt new to a lot of people, if not most people.
Yeah.
Didn't know about the New Balance 1000, so it felt like a new shoe, although it was a retro. We have a video on the military Blue Fours. Big fan of those. They just did it the right way. It's true to the OG, and they use the same shape from the SB4s in 2023. So lots, or that was 2023, yeah. So it has an awesome shape. The AirTech Challenge 2s, love those. I already had a pair of them. The previous release from 2020 or something like that, 2018 maybe. Um, but a big fan of those. And Puma Speed Cats, another Puma nomination, pretty cool. We've got the Nicole McLaughlins and the Speed Cats now, so pretty big year for Puma too. I think they're
Yeah.
more in the fold of the big dogs, and didn't happen in 2024, but like this past week, one of Salehi's first shoes with Puma just I don't think it was a leak, I think it was an official image, but cool big stuff happening from Puma. And of course we talked about the collaborations from New Balance, what made them brand of the year. 1906R being a big GR, but the New Balance 1000 might be their biggest GR, which we both think is really cool. But
Yeah.
personally, I'm most connected to the Nike Air Zoom Spiridon. It's named after somebody who competed in the first Olympics, named Spiridon, who Greek people that are all named after saints, which there is a Saint Spiridon, which Greek people have icon on my wall of Saint Spiridon. I am named after, I'm named after my family members, but my family members and the ones before them are all named after saints. So it's kind of whether or not most people know it, connected to Greek people and being called Spiridon, my name. So it's pretty cool. Big fan of those and super excited that they're coming back, which may or may not spoil a little bit of the Comeback Player of the Year award. The best retro is Nike Air Zoom Spiridon. Like I said, I love these. I think it's really cool. They're of course not named after me, but they are called
No,
the.
they are. They're no. Phil Knight knew. He was like, this guy
Well, like
is
honestly, I
gonna
was
be
thinking
making a
about this.
YouTube video about it. All right. And
We gotta
he's
bring it
gonna
back.
their name. Yeah, we gotta bring him back.
How do we get the sneaker bench to name us best retro of the year? I got it. But anyways, I just love it, and I love this shoe. If I ever were to get a Nike collaboration for whatever reason, I think it'd be really cool to work on the Spirit on because of that connection. They're really awesome, and I don't know. What do you think, Raj?
I'm just imagining the Spiro Nike Air Zoom Spiridon, and I think that's pretty freaking sick.
Just wait.
Just the naming. The Spiridon's a really cool shoe. I kind of wish I had it. I have another Nike sneaker that kind of fits the bill, and it's a similar shoe, but I like the Spiridon more for sure. I like the Nike Zoom Alpha from like the early 2000s, and the Spiridon's just really cool. I think they're super wearable. I think they fall into that like kind of Y2K trend, even though they're not really like that. Like they're not very similar to those New Balances, but I like the Spirit on a lot. I would love to see those in person, like in hand. I think that's one of the sneakers that like is gonna look so much better in person than it does just over pictures. I feel like it's one of the sneakers that doesn't do it justice.
And like the outsole is so cool. Look how funky the outsole is. Just like a weird kind of
Oh
goofy
yeah.
texture. That it got too many swooshes on the tongue and on the tip there, and lots of cool little details. A ton of 3M. Um,
Yeah. And even
it's
the lacing system looks kind of cool. I can't really, it looks very flat. I don't know what that's about.
it's an awesome sneaker, and that's why it's our retro of the year. Let's give it up to the Nike Airs Spirit on. Now, our second to last award is the Ford Innovation That Excites Best New Model of the Year award, but we're not sponsored by Ford.
We are not sponsored by Ford. No Ford
Open to
sponsorship.
sponsored by Ford, though. If Ford wanted to sponsor the
If
Sneaker Award show, they could do so. They could also sponsor the most dope Ball of Freshness award if they would like,
send us
but
a dollar.
we're not sponsored by Ford.
We are not sponsored by Ford. Ford has no affiliation with the sneaker bench, but it is the Ford innovation that excites. Best new model of the year. What are our nominations? Again, this is not sponsored by Ford.
Before we get into our nominations, not sponsored by Ford, I just want to say that this necessarily wasn't the best year for new models. We had a lot of good collaborations, a lot of good retros, but in terms of the amount of cool new models, there wasn't that many we thought there. like to choose from, and maybe we forgot a few. If we did, let us know. Not sponsored by Ford.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to make this a really clear, we're not sponsored by Ford.
We're not. But the nominees are the
Not spon Oh, the James Harden Volume 9s, the not sponsored by Ford. The Nigel Sylvester 4s, not sponsored by Ford. The Nike Air Max DNs, not sponsored by Ford. And the Kyrie Irving, the Anta Kai 1, uh, not sponsored by Ford. Uh, I think the Harden line coming back is really, really cool. Personally, like the Harden line kind of went away because he wasn't as big of a deal in the NBA universe. Like he wasn't like a 1A superstar anymore for a few years. And I just think Adidas has found like a cool playbook to use for its signature athletes. Like they did a really good job with the AE1 last year. And they did this with Harden, and I think it's really, really cool. So I think it's cool that Adidas has kind of found a playbook. The Nigel Sylvesters, I think those are awesome. I don't think I'd ever personally buy a pair, but I do think those are really, really cool. And it's a cool take on the Jordan 4. The Air Max DN, just from like a GR color, I think there were a lot of cool GR colorways. I've seen a ton of these like just on the street in Chicago, which I was kind of surprised to see them in Chicago. I wouldn't expect to see them, but I've seen like 4 or 5 people wearing them around, and I think they look really cool. And the Anti-Kai ones. I think Kyrie just has done kind of a cool thing for sneakers in general. He's still like at the top of his game. He's still like in a championship contending situation, and he went to, a smaller brand, and he's building out his own like sneaker line. Not just like it's not just like these. There are like the skating ones as well. So he's building out his own line there, and I think that's really cool. And again, I want to really emphasize that we are not sponsored by Ford.
Yeah, that's a really important point to make that we're not sponsored by Ford. I don't know if we've stressed that enough. But just talking a little bit about my thoughts, the DN coming back, or not coming back, the DN being released. It's a cool shoe. I like that there's new Air Maxes being made. Um, I think Raj in a video in the past guaranteed he would get a pair. He has since not gotten a pair. Similarly to how we are not sponsored by Ford. Um, the anti-Kai one, very cool for the same reasons Raj has already explained. Kyrie going to another brand and building out not only basketball shoes, but also lifestyle shoes, not sponsored by Ford, is really cool. And the Hardens, we've already talked about how cool the metallic sneakers are and kind of being at the forefront of that. In terms of branching out of the metallic running shoes, not sponsored by Ford, is really, really cool to see. And feel similarly about the Nigel Sylvester Jordan 4 RMs. Um, I think the black pair is pretty cool, and for a second I thought about maybe getting them, but they're not necessarily for me. But you can't deny that they have had a moment this year, and a lot of people do really care about them. And the materials, if you can see like like suede, the way it brushes, looks pretty nice. So lots of cool things going on, all great, great shoes, and happy to see new models being made. But I think last year maybe we had more new models to choose from.
And I
Specifically
think
the
we just
81.
had, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say specifically the 81s, you might be thinking, why aren't those on here? That is technically a 2023 shoe. That's not that why that's here. And we're hoping to have like a big shoe that's a huge, huge slam dunk, or not multiple, that it makes it a hard choice for us to make in terms of new model of the year, but there wasn't one glaring huge new release this year to choose.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And I was just going to add, that we're not in fact sponsored by Ford. So with those no nominees, let's see who the Ford Innovation That Excites Best New Model of the Year award winner, not sponsored by Ford, is.
The winner is the Nike RM Nigel Sylvester. Like we said, not necessarily our personal favorite, but it did have a big moment, and it's cool when Jordan's making different versions of their models. Personally, I think it's cooler when Jordan is just making like new inline models, like the kind of Jason Tatum type sneakers or Luka Doncic sneakers. Like, if one of those were to hit really big, I think that would be cooler and more impactful than like a reinvention of a Jordan 4. But I think Nigel Sylvester getting a new shoe and his own, technically his own shoe model, is really cool, especially. him being like a BMX cyclist, it's completely different than what Michael Jordan did, which was basketball. And yeah, deserving award, good new shoe, and we're not sponsored by Ford.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Congratulations to Nike on Magic Wrestling. Big award when not sponsored by Ford. But it all comes down to this. The Sam Hauser Sneaker of the Year Award. What does Sam Hauser mean to you, Raj?
Sam Hauser is an NBA champion. All right. He went in there, he went in there and he won an NBA championship. How many people in the world can say they've won an NBA championship? So few people can say they've won an NBA championship, and Sam Hauser is one of them. He personifies greatness. He was so key in that Boston Celtics championship win. And I'm ecstatic that we've named the sneaker of the year after just such a great athlete.
Yeah, what I think the nugget of information that you said that really it touched me was he personifies greatness, which at the sneaker bench here is kind of what we want to personify greatness. And that's why we named it after him because we know he contributed so much to that Celtics championship. So let's just give it up for Sam Hauser for 1 second. And for the sneaker bench too. Us. Give it up for ourselves.
Yeah,
Nominees are B, AE1, Mew Mew, what, 580, right?
530.
530, the Patachlorophyll Air Max 1, and the Salehi Bembury Heat Be Hot 1906 Rs. Raj, start us off here.
Uh, AE1s. I own these. I love this shoe just so gosh darn much. It's such a good basketball shoe. It plays so well. It's maybe one of the best basketball shoes I've ever owned, but the design is really cool. I wore them with jeans and they looked good. That hasn't been able to be said about a basketball shoe in a really long time. Like a new basketball shoe, very rarely can they be worn with jeans and they look good. I think the last time I can remember wearing a pair of basketball shoes with jeans and them looking good is the LeBron 10s, those ones with the freaking giant swoosh on the back. Those looked cool with jeans. These look cool with jeans. And I freaking love the AE1s. The Mew Mews, we've talked about them already. Really like that shoe. Really wish they were more affordable. Would have made waves. The freaking Soleil Bremberries, 1906s. We've talked about those plenty. But again, such a fire sneaker. And the Patachlorophyls, that is Spiro's favorite sneaker of all time. Maybe?
Out of all time, definitely of this past year, it's my favorite sneaker.
Okay.
I think the most important thing to say here is, again, touching on the AE1s, we don't qualify this as a 2024 original release because it did first release in late 2023 and we gave it best new model last year. So we couldn't give it best new model this year. But you couldn't say that it wasn't a huge sneaker this year. It still made a ton of waves, especially in the playoffs. Ton of new colorways being made. Adidas may have lost a little bit of momentum when they didn't release the lows after kind of like teasing them, and then it took a few months, if not a little bit more, for the lows to eventually come out. And I think when the lows did come out, people were excited for them, but I think people are kind of salivating, chomping at the bit for some more AE1 colorways and renditions. If the logo would have come out a little bit sooner, I think it could have been even like bigger. But with that being said, the all the marketing campaigns at the beginning of the year were huge during the playoffs and whatnot. And love the chlorophylls, love the Salehis, Mew Mews. Not my favorite personal um New Balance of the year, but that was kind of a Raj and I's compromise was the Mew Mews get nominated here and the Chlorophylls get nominated here. Those are our two kind of favorites-ish. But what combined become the number one sneaker of the year, the sneaker of the year is Sam Hauser sneaker of the year is the AE1. Wow, we've already said it. It's a great shoe. Everybody was wearing it. Raj might get another pair. He already has one. He might get another pair.
I'm it's in my cart. I'm really thinking about it. Also, one thing I will say about the A1s that I don't think I really mentioned is I appreciate how affordable they are. They're a super affordable basketball shoe. You can get your hands on a pair for under $100 very, very easily. And I really appreciate that out of basketball shoes because I feel like a lot of the new basketball shoes that are really good, whether it's performance or style wise, are usually way more expensive. And they ones came in at a really affordable price, which is why I kind of want to get a second one. I want, I was like, duh.
And going off what Raj just said, a lot of the past like handful of years, the best sneaker is some big collab that's hard to obtain. And growing up being into sneakers, like you couldn't get those shoes. It's cool when
Yeah.
the big shoes of the year is something that you can go online or get or go to the mall and get. I've seen AE1s at the mall, and that's important for sneakers to be able to be obtainable, especially a basketball shoe like this, because people are actually playing basketball in them. So the fact that we had a shoe that was in the mainstream, it was cool, it was easy to get. You could get it on sale at times, but at the same time, it still had that cool factor. It never lost the cool factor, no matter how much money it was going for. It's something that was genuinely like pretty special. And
Yeah.
hoping to see more of that in the future, hoping to see more of that in new models, because I think that's really going to be what pushes sneakers forward instead of just kind of retroing things or doing collabs. We love retros, we love collabs, and we think there was a lot of good ones from this past year. But the AE1 being a relatively new shoe and having that cool factor for all generations, worn for performance and lifestyle is something that we thought was really, really cool. And that is why we recognized it.
Yeah, and like I think that impact on the young generation, especially because you can go to the mall and see them, because you can get them for affordable prices. We, I think like at least personally, like growing up, we didn't have like a really affordable sneaker that was like still like kind of an it shoe, if that makes sense. But the 81 kind of fits that bill where it's affordable, but it's still like kind of like a has that like you mentioned has that cool factor, and so that's probably I imagine that's really cool for those younger generations of sneakerheads who are able to get their hands on like one of the coolest pairs of the year but still do so for like a really affordable price.
Definitely. And that is why it was our sneaker of the year. Congratulations, AE1. Amazing win. And that was the Sneaker Bench 2024 award show. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. And
Subscribe, follow us on Instagram.
follow us on Instagram, subscribe, like, comment, all that. If you're still watching this video, I love you.
Yeah, yeah. A round of applause for whoever's still watching the video.
Yeah, surprising, honestly. But yeah, thank you and have a great day.
Yeah.